With this in mind, this year's JUMPSTARTER Tech by the Harbor has included robotics as part of our theme. We've been organizing exciting robot parade shows that is touring throughout Hong Kong to provide an experience that is educational and exceptional. You're also welcome to attend the show today from 6 p.m. at the Piazza B of the Hong Kong Cultural Center, which is conveniently located just a few steps away from here. But before we go to the show, let's dig a little bit deeper into the use of robots. Everyone, let's put our hands together and welcome our next lineup of speakers who will come here and shed light on the topic of building the future of industries with AI and robots. Everyone, let's put our hands together for our speakers that are boarding the stage right now. Mr. Markku, co-founder and CEO of Neurisium, and also Ms. Alana Abbitt, VM and Head of Product, Miso Robotics. Mr. Andrew Lowe, CEO and Executive Director of Crystal International Group. Also, everyone, please welcome Ms. Crystal Falk, Head of Hong Kong Science and Technology Park Platform, Parks Corporation, to moderate the discussion for us. And I will hand the stage over to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks all joining this section, which is Building Future Industry with AI and Robotics. So I'm also looking forward to the robot by Harvard just 1.5 hours later. But this panel, we have three representatives from three different industries today. So maybe we can buy this chance to have each of you introduce a little bit of your corporation and which industry that you are in for your product or solutions. So maybe we start with Alana.
Sure. So I work at Miso Robotics, which is an automation company for quick service restaurants. We focus on the back of the house. Some of the tools that we use are robots and automation. One of our most popular products is called Flippy. It's an autonomous fry cook, and we also have an innovation lab. So at my job, I get to play with robots and eat fried food, so I'm quite lucky.
Yes, thanks a lot. So how about Andrew?
Okay, our industry is a very traditional industry, producing garments. So we basically manufacture garments on an ODM, OEM level for retailers and brands in the US, Europe, and Japan. And our factories are all in Asia.
Oh, nice. So finally, but last but not least, Markku?
So I actually work in the actual AI implementation industry. So we, for the last 7 years, have been helping corporates and industrialists understand and leverage the power of AI and machine learning. So we help, train, develop, and apply technologies that for the last 2 days have been presented here, but bring them into a more corporate process and a more complex environment.
Yes, great. So a little bit sharing about my experience, because when I really study in the university and doing my research, actually I work on AI and robotics. But at that time, when I talk about AI, my parents will ask, oh, you are not studying engineering, why you change to mathematics? And then I said, oh, I do another research in robotics. And then they say, how come? Are you going to work in a factory? So this is some interpretation in the old days. But I believe that it get totally changed today. So may I know about your interpretation of AI and robotics in your mind? So maybe Andrew, how you interpret all this?
Oh, okay, for me, I think robotics helps to automate processes, whether it's in the office environment or in the factory environment. In the office environment, actually, it helps to automate paperwork processes. And in the factory environment, it helps to automate, the manufacturing of goods, and also on the logistics side. Yeah.
So it's become not just hardware.
No, not just yeah. So also, I think AI. Frankly speaking, I think AI for me is a very interesting topic, because I think it will bring automation to the next level. Because right now, I think automation, it will just do what we tell them to do. But I think AI will provide more intelligence, and also can help us to do things that that automation cannot do today.
Understood. How about Alana?
Yeah, so AI to me is smart software. So basically becoming more intelligent. And there's different factors of AI that I know right now a lot of the large language models are getting the attention, but we use computer vision, we use machine learning. Those are also elements of AI. And robotics is the hardware that executes a specific task. To me, the most impactful is when you can apply AI to robotics, because then it's a closed loop system. The robot can execute on the task that the software it's telling it to, but that software is becoming more intelligent, so it can adapt to the environment. So that's where it's kind of a step function change from where it was in the past, in my opinion.
Understood. So AI seems to be our brain, and then robotics is our hands. So, Markku, how is your definition?
Yeah, I think generally I would agree with both of the definitions from both Andrew and Alana. My personal interpretation of AI is a little bit more philosophical, I think, because I think the term AI today in the industry is something, and this is what I use for my own business as well, much more of a function of marketing. Actual AI, when talking about sentient computers thinking for themselves, having personal emotions and a capability of thought, I think we're still not quite there yet. But what Alana mentioned, that's pretty much the scary point then.
But that means we still have room to go. Okay, so maybe I start with Miso Robotics, because the food and beverage industry is also one big industry in Hong Kong, but up till now is still quite human-centric, no matter preparing the food, cooking the food, and serving the food. So why your company getting into this area, and what you foresee that AI or robotics will change the industry in the future?
Yeah, so we chose to go into this industry because it was ripe for disruption. It has a lot of factors at play that other industries have already paved the way for, such as manufacturing. So I'll step back and say that Miso was one of the first in the world to do robotics and AI in quick service restaurants. Not the only, but the first. And I say that because we've had a front row seat to how the industry has been changing. In the first phase, it was, robotics was very expensive. It was only for manufacturing and equipment. Then, more recently, AI has taken off. It's a tool that's much easier to leverage. Therefore, the functional has become more accessible. And now where we've seen things is there's more safety, there's more efficiency, and there's more quality of the product in the food and beverage industry by using automation.
But I look at the video that from your website. Seems that the whole system is actually quite compact. So any design concept behind, or why that you think that it is that important?
From a design perspective, it can always be smaller, better, faster. The real estate of a quick service restaurant, every foot matters, every inch matters. You're supposed to be producing food for humans. It's not about the method. Robotics is a means to an end, so we need to more so justify the space that we take on. But in terms of the form and function, that's really how can it be most efficient with the equipment that the restaurant already has. So that's why we chose the robotics, because we can leverage the fryers and the hood that are already within the system and work around it.
Nice. That would be quite suitable for like kitchen in Hong Kong as well. Okay, how about you, Andrew? Because your industry is garment. So as you mentioned, garment is so traditional, but I think that you already did quite a lot. So what kind of tasks that right now AI and robotics could already manage within like your design and production process?
Okay, maybe I will share a video. Can you help to? Yeah, I think it's easier to see than to. Is the video playing or? Oops. Oh, okay. Let me see. This part? No.
It's okay.
No, don't worry. Okay.
We got it.
Okay. So, I think it's a snapshot of some of our automation in our factories. So right now, for a traditional industry, actually we have started to deploy robotic arms, automated machineries, using lasers to do a lot of the denim finishings, And also in our, not in the video, but also in our logistics side, we have deployed smart warehouse, AGVs, to help to automate the logistics process. So basically, for us, I think all the automations are helping us to reduce the labor intensity and to improve the overall productivity. It is especially important in light of the recent labor shortages and also increasing labor costs. So on the office part, we're employing a lot of RPAs, robotic process automations, to help to speed up, the office, the paperwork process. So, okay. So basically, yeah.
Okay, understood. So it seems that you already make the whole garment through automation, but would there be still some challenge in some of the process, or how that you think in the future that could be tackled?
Well, actually, there are tons of challenges. I think from on the design side, I think is how right now the industry is in the process of digitizing design. So it's not really automating, but digitizing. Because before everything is paper, samples. So now a lot of customers are trying to look at how to change that into a digital manner. Giving us digital information to start the sampling process, and also now we are starting to send digital samples to our customers. And some of the more advanced customers are actually are not requiring us to do the actual sample before they commit to the order. But then we have to make a sample after they commit. But I think but that is only maybe a few percent of the population. 95, 98% is still using a much more traditional way. So that I think it will take time, and effort, to really improve that.
Yeah, I also want to touch it before I buy it.
Yeah.
So Markku, your project is actually in a much larger scale usually. So from the very starting, that how you engage with the customer, understand their problem, and then find out some kind of solution to support, and usually how that it could happen.
Yeah, I think generally across all industries, including whether it's garment or food and beverage or banking, it's usually boiled down to similar needs when something is triggered. It's always to do with competitiveness. It's always to do with wanting to be ahead or to get an edge over something, just like the guys flying over us. And then when you understand and you meet with them first, you have to have a very informal chat, much more dive deeper into the context of those needs to understand how they translate into what they want to achieve. Once you have that, then I typically actually flip it around. I don't actually want to focus on their needs, but where they want to dream themselves. So if you remove all of the challenges, if everything is gone, how would your company work? What is the vision of labor? What is the vision of technology? How do you think life could be like? And then I draw a direct line between the need and the dream, and that, if you segment it down into the separate projects, is pretty much how we can start.
Okay, great. So any signature project that you could briefly describe to us, how it gets started, and finally the results, is it really satisfactory?
There's so many projects I would love to talk about, but I'm not allowed to. But I would say, generally speaking, even if you take the automotive, for example, I can say there's, some automotive clients that we had where their start was where they said, look, we just want AI to solve this big problem of quality. When we actually went to meet with them and talk to them, then we realized that the problem was not in the quality, the problem was not in the AI, it was actually in the collaboration, in exchanging data and actually digitizing. So what Andrew was saying as well, they think that the solution is always high tech, but sometimes it's about digitizing first and then moving to the tech.
So this actually into a very good area, because I didn't think that if I use technology, say AI and robotics, it simply solve all the problems. But obviously not. So in your experience, can you share a little bit, besides just the technology, what are some of the critical factors that people has to concern and then has to solve before they really achieve what they would like to achieve? Andrew, maybe start with you. You built the whole factory already.
Right. I think I had dinner with Markku and Alana earlier this week, and actually we're talking about change. I think change is really I think it's not really the technology. Technology is part of it. Yes, whether this technology is available or not, whether AI is good enough or not, is mature enough or not. That yes, technology is one of the enablers. But the issue is is the whole process. Are we do all the leaders in the industry knows exactly where to go? And are all the stakeholders really ready for the change? Because I think Markku was mentioning kind of actually what we are trying to do is to get people out of their own job, right? So the managers who are implementing a new process probably won't have a job to do in the future. So how eager is he or she will be to implement that particular process? So I think a lot of these how to manage change is one of the key area we need to focus on. Yeah.
Yes, totally agree, because it's usually a pull and push process. Even though the top or senior management want to push all those down to the operation, but people will just pull out from it. So I believe that we can have more sharing with discussion with Andrew later. So how about Alana, when you really deploy the robotics into a fast food restaurant, what would be the challenge?
There are a lot, mostly training, but what I would really start with are two principles. One is, what is the objective that you're trying to achieve? So some of our customers, it's food quality, some of it's consistency. Primarily, a lot of it is labor, mostly because it's incredibly hard to attain labor, attract labor. Andrew mentioned the same as well. And there's economic factors that are happening, not just in the United States, but everywhere, with an aging population that's retiring, younger demographic that's taking longer to enter the workforce. So this gap creates a vacuum. And that's usually the problem that people are trying to solve, but they say it in different ways. So the first challenge in terms of the food robotics industry is pinpointing that problem, because then you can find the solution. And then the second thing is starting small. A lot of people are intimidated. Robotics and money, it sounds long, it sounds expensive, but you don't have to tackle everything at once. You can start small and kind of build from there. And it's kind of what was said earlier about kind of the straight line and tackling it in pieces. I completely agree. That way it's more bite-sized, pun intended.
Yes, totally agree, because I think start small is a much better approach, rather than you invest a lot and then always ask a question of return on investment. So I would like to bring this ROI questions to Markku, because once the project scale is that large, so people will think of the return on investment. So usually how you estimate all these and then explain to your customer?
The actual calculations are the easiest part, I think.
Oh.
Honestly, it's a factoring of efficiency gains and cost of new production, cost of old production, scrap rate, win, whatever it is. But I think persuading and educating not just the executives but the management to understand that it's actually possible is the one that actually is the biggest challenge in getting these developments going. Because the bottom line can only be reached and realized if people use the solution. And what I've realized was really in so many projects where you see that, people like Andrew, you would say, yeah, I would want to do it, let's do it. And then the level below and the one below, everybody says yes, but the actual engineers using the software still end up using Excel or pen or paper because they don't understand the benefit. And then the benefit doesn't come. So it's a little bit tricky on that side, I would say. That's why education comes first internally.
Yes. That's why ChatGPT right now is that successful, because even down to any individual, they could really leverage it just as a tool.
Yeah, and it all boils down to user interface, I think. And that's why today AI is throwing waves around the world, because they finally cracked user interface which everybody can chat to. Before that, AI has been doing the same thing for the last, I would say, 5-10 years, but nobody found it accessible. Now that if you can chat to it with the language models, everybody can do it. So it's all about interface in the end.
Yes, great. So maybe one final question to our panelists, which is, we don't want the people get away from technology, but when you want them to incorporate with technology, any tips that you can provide, no matter it's the senior management, the managers, or the front end people, anything that you think they should embrace technology?
I think I would split my answer into two parts. I think for traditional industries like ours, I think being competitive is very important. So we are actually fighting day in day out. Making sure that we survive. And thrive. So I think a lot of so there's a lot of pressure. In a way, for us to change. So I think for traditional industry, I think it's easier, because the strong will take more business and the weak will wither away. But I think the challenge for Hong Kong is more for the newer industries. The newer industries. I think when I see Hong Kong, I think Hong Kong is not very proactive, in innovating and new industries. Whereas when I see, let's say the U.S., China, and let's say Europe, they are much more. They have a much stronger innovation culture. So I think it's basically the innovation culture that needs to grow more in Hong Kong. I don't really have an answer for it. I think Hong Kong government is trying to do more, which is important, and also institutions like Alibaba, hopefully can help to help to speed up the whole process. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. So how about Alana?
I think it's pretty simple. I think you have to think about it in terms of an opportunity versus a threat. And when you tie it back to business objectives, the answers become much more simple. So I know it's a simple answer to a more complicated question, but that's the first way that I would approach it.
Yeah,
and
thanks
tying
a
it back to KPIs.
Thanks a lot.
I actually have a third weird answer to that, I think. We've been talking about AI and robots and software, but I think it's important not to forget the human element, that we are actually doing robotics to simplify human life, and we're implementing AI to make people's lives easier. The moment it makes our life more complicated, we're doing a bad job. So we should always keep the human element in mind.
Power. That's the.
Yes, totally correct. So we don't have to fear about technology. So once the robot is getting crazy, just get off their power. But please stay until the robots finally hyper. And thanks a lot for all the panelists today, and hope to enjoy our sharing. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
For having
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you, Crystal, for being our moderator as well. Everyone, please be seated.